This is the Marvel Legends series, X-Men or 90s X Factor, Marvel's Havoc, and Marvel's Polaris 2-pack. Pretty nice set. If you grew up, well, I grew up watching, or not reading the comic books actually, rather. And it featured Peter David and Larry Stroman's artwork. Peter David's writing on the rebooted or revamped X Factor to complement the X-Men teams back in the 90s. And the artwork is based off the iconic Jim Lee trading cards. I picked up this set at Hobby Corner. Now, this set is not currently sold at retail stores here in Manila. You know, you can't get this at Toy Kingdom, Toys R Us, Landmark, Ristons, or Toy Town out here in Manila. You'll have to go to the hobby shops and pre-order it or pick it up at the store. And this set will set you back about $60. Yeah, they're not cheap out here in Manila. $60 is probably the minimum you'll have to pay for this, since Marvel Legends figures and Black Series figures are going for $30 each. And retail, some Marvel Legends figures are going for $26, some for $28, but you get roughly $26 to $30 per figure. So $60 is right on spot on. Probably the lowest you'll have to spend for this set if you purchase it here in Manila. Now, right off the bat, let's begin with paint apps, because paint apps on this set, oh my goodness, Hasbro, what is happening to quality control? Okay, let me start with Polaris, since she's got very little to complain. We got very minor PNAPS issues on her. The head sculpt came out great. There's a little bit of smudging on her lipstick right there. I don't know if you can see it. And right above the lip, there's a little bit of smudging right there. PNAPS on the torso, more or less okay, except for the yellow that they've used. As you can see, it's like a two-tone PNAPS. It should be this bright, the bright colored yellow versus the pale yellow. And I don't know how they could have screwed this one up. It's the same paint, and this one sort of bleeded into the blue plastic a little bit more than this one. So no idea what's wrong with them. Other than that, great paint apps on Polaris. Now, on to Havok. Havok has as bad paint apps as the Jean Grey, Scott and Logan set. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Right off the bat, you get to see that head sculpt and the blue, just the blue paint for his headgear, just all over the place. You got the eyes right, so that's great. Hair is painted nicely. The yellow bits on the jacket, I was expecting that to be crappy, so no surprise right there. There's a lot of imperfections here and there, but you get a lot of this. You get a lot of the yellow imperfections, jagged edges on the inside of his jacket. And look at that. I mean, come on, Hasbro. Really? Really, Hasbro? And there was another set that had some chipping on the belt. But other than that, nothing else to play with. Oh, missing yellow paint apps right there. So, yeah, I was totally expecting the set to be much better than the Cyclops Jean Grey Logan 3-pack, but quality issues still abound. And here are Lorna, Dain, and Alex Summers, Polaris and Havoc, out of packaging, and they actually look amazing. I was very surprised that they turned out great. I was afraid that Hasbro was really going to ruin this set, because it's very difficult to actually make an action figure out of how Larry Stroman drew the characters. They were all very disproportionate, much like how how Batman was, the characters of Batman, the animated series were. That's the vibe I was getting with that Larry Stroman, Peter David comic book. And for Hasbro to come up with something like this is absolutely amazing. Okay, aside from the fact that it has a lot of paint issues, these two actually came out great in terms of sculpt, details, and even articulation. They use some recycled bits and pieces here and there, some recycled molds, but be that as it may, the additional sculpts that Hasbro's made for the heads, the jacket, the uniform, really turned these figures into amazing sculpts. And I'm really quite impressed at what Hasbro's done with these figures. Let's start with Lorna. Lorna Dain, Polaris, Mistress of Magnetism. She's obviously the daughter of Magneto. She uses the Polaris mold. If you've had the old Polaris figure or the Elektra figure, it uses that same mold for the legs, the torso, forearms, and hands. The upper arm and the torso is a new mold. The torso has been molded with the shoulder pads, and the arms, I believe, have some wrinkling on them to make it look like that she's wearing a jacket. So those are new, those upper arms. She has this magnificent head sculpt. It's got really nice hair. The hair is made of two pieces. You can see they've been glued on. Separate pieces so that they can paint. The paint doesn't smudge into the head sculpt. Absolutely amazing. The look is a little bit, I wanted a more subtle look for Lorna. This is it's a little too fierce for me. The way she's looking, it's a little too sharp. I would have wanted a more laid back look for her, but that's fine. You get the X right there, some details of the uniform here and there. He's got a new belt, some straps for the gloves and the boots. Other than that, pretty neat. Some smudging here, some mismatched paint apps here. It's understandable. It's yellow paint on blue plastic, so you'll get a little bit of a darker yellow than this one. This one is more of a lighter yellow, so a little bit of a mismatch there, but other than that, very cool. Okay, articulation for the figure. It's got a ball jointed neck that's way out there. The hair, despite being big as it is, does not hinder the articulation for the ball joint. And something just fell. Okay, this is probably from the die cut. I'm hoping it's nothing serious. Okay, so lots of emotive poses you can do because of this really huge ball joint. It's also on a hinge, so you can put her neck that way or up. The only drawback with this, with having a big head sculpt, is she really can't look up. So in a flight pose, you'll have to pose her this way. She can't really look up. Ball jointed upper torso, ball hinge shoulders. The left shoulder was a little tight on mine the first time I opened it. First time I tried it out, it was very tight. Ball hinge elbows, ball hinge wrists go in and out. Ball jointed hips that go only up to here, there. Thigh swivel, double jointed knees, ball hinge ankles with the rocker tilt. The rocker tilt for the right ankle was a little bit tight when I opened it. So that is Polaris. She also comes with a set of extra hands, closed fist hands, which you probably have already seen, repacked from this particular mold. She also comes with the plasma bubble blast effects, which I think was she also had the previous Polaris figure. I didn't put it on the figure so you could appreciate the figures, but you know what it is. All right, let's set her off to the side. On to Havok. Havoc turned out really nicely, except say for those paint apps issues that I mentioned earlier. I really like this sculpt. Absolutely amazing sculpt. They really hit it out of the ballpark with this one. Absolutely nailed it. Sure, they recycled the Cyclops legs, but the jacket really defines this figure. I really like it. Lots of details with the jacket mold, as you can see, even the inside of the jacket, zipper, some padding here. Very nice, pretty neat. The hands kind of look disjointed. I mean, they kind of look out of place, but that's how it was in the comic book. He wore those fingerless cut out driving motorcycle gloves or weightlifting gloves in the comic book, and I think Hasbro nailed it. That's how accurate it was. People are saying they should have put a little bit more of a cuff here, extra glove molding there, but that's not how it was in the comic books. In fact, there should be some skin showing here, a little bit of skin showing here. So I'm not complaining too much. It just feels like it's not as seamless. The joint, you can see a lot of spaces and gaps here and there. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. Nice new belt molded in. Really nice. That head sculpt, that is Alex Summers. I mean, wow. I'm still hoping we get a Silvestri Havoc before they entered before he became a Genosian magistrate. I'm hoping we can still get that. That would be my that's my all-time favorite Havoc. But with this one, I'm pretty happy with it. Articulation of the figures, got a bulging neck, a little bit loose on my copy. It's on a hinge, just like the Cyclops torso, ab crunch, hindered by that jacket, waist swivel, ball hinge shoulders, double jointed elbows, go up to there. No forearm swivel, ball hinge wrists, let's go in and out. Ball jointed hips, thigh swivel, double jointed knees, calf swivel, ball hinge ankles with rocker pivot, much like the Jim Lee Cyclops mold. So yeah, pretty cool. And for size comparisons, here they are with a few other X-Men figures in my collection. Havok is with Cyclops and Wolverine, and the Polaris figure is with Jean and Rogue. Man, that Rogue body sculpt would really look nice on this new Polaris figure. And you can see the similarities with the Cyclops body mold with this particular figure. And so some final thoughts on this set. Should you get it? If you're a big X-Men fan, most especially if you love the Peter David, Larry Stroman, Havoc-led X-Factor back in the 90s, this is an absolute must-have. I think Hasbro nailed it with this set. It put to good use some previously released figure molds for Polaris and the Jim Lee Cyclops. I think they did a wonderful job. The only problem I have with this set, like I mentioned earlier, was the inconsistencies of the paint apps. Quality issues abound here and there, and it's a shame because the set is something that a lot of fans have been wanting, and you know, those paint apps can sometimes make or break a particular set for some collectors. I'm going to give the set a 9.5 out of 10. Almost perfect, except for those paint apps that I mentioned. Best of luck to everybody hunting him down. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, if you are here in Manila, you're going to have to hunt this figure at select hobby shops in Green Hills. And they might not be available on retail anytime soon. So there you go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this little video review. If you did, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my latest video reviews. This has been the Marvel Legends series, the X-Men, or the 90s X-Factor, Marvel's Havoc and Marvel's Polaris 2-pack. Thanks for watching.